Dear students, today I am going to deliver a lecture on directing, its meaning and process. Directing is the third basic managerial function of a firm, the first and second being planning and organizing. Managing or running an organization involves channelizing of human relationship in a very efficient way. A manager who has many subordinates under him has the basic role of making them work towards achieving a common goal. The manager, in doing so, has a number of means like motivating, communicating, guiding, counseling, supervising, etc. Broadly, most of them involve addressing the issues of individual relationship to the organization, relationship among the staffs, conflict and competition, physical and psychological contract, etc. Directing addresses the core of the human side of an organization. In most of the management vocabulary, the term directing and leading are used interchangeably. For the purpose of this lecture also, directing and leading will be used interchangeably. Now, the meaning of directing. Directing means giving instructions, guiding, counseling, motivating and supervising the entire staffs of an organization in carrying out the duty assigned to them to achieve organizational goals. In other words, directing is the process in which a manager guides, instructs and oversees the performance of the workers to accomplish the predetermined goals. Directing is a key managerial function to be performed by the manager along with planning, organizing and controlling. Directing is a continuous process initiated at the top level and goes down to the bottom, passing through numerous organizational hierarchies. Directing is said to be the heart of management process. Directing is regarded as the dynamic function of the management as it infuses life into the organization. Directing is the interpersonal aspect of managing by which subordinates or staffs are guided to understand and contribute effectively and efficiently to achieve the predetermined goal of an organization. Directing is a complex function of management. Kuntz and O'Donnell define directing as, quote, directing is a complex function that includes all those activities which are designed to encourage subordinates to work effectively both in the short and the long run. Directing is not merely giving instruction by manager to his subordinates. It is about how the instructions are translated into actions by the subordinate in a holistic manner. Now, the features of directing. There are certain unique features of directing which clearly distinguishes it from other functions of management. Directing has got the following features. Number 1. Pervasive function. Number 2. Continuous activity. Number 3. Human factor. Number 4. Creative activity. Number 5. Executive function. Number 6. Delegate function. Number 1. Pervasive function. Directing is required at all levels of organization. Every manager provides guidance and inspiration to his entire subordinates. Number 2. Continuous activity. Directing is a continuous activity. It continues throughout the life of an organization. Number 3. Human factor. Directing is related to subordinates and therefore it involves human factor. Since human factor is complex and sometimes unpredictable, directing function becomes important as well as very challenging. Number 4. Creative activity. Directing helps in transforming plans into performance. Without directing, people become passive and physical resources will be underutilized or unused. Number 5. Executive function. Directing is carried out by managers and executives at all levels of organizational activities, and subordinates receive instructions from his superior only. Number 6. Delegate function. Directing is a delicate process as it involves dealing with a number of people who have different characters and qualities. So, conflicts, contradictions or cohesion may crop up in carrying out this function. Now, the importance of directing. Directing is a very important process for managing and maintaining an organization. Some of the importances of directing are: number 1. Directing initiates actions. Number 2. Directing integrates efforts. Number 3. Directing injects motivation. Number 4. Directing provides stability. Number 5. Directing helps in efficient utilization of resources. Number 6. Directing enables to coping with changes. Number 1. Directing initiates actions. Direction is the starting point of the execution of work by the staffs or subordinates. Action begins right from this function onward as the employees know of the jobs at hand and follow out the proper instructions that are given to them. Number 2. Directing integrates efforts. The superiors or managers are capable of directing, inspiring and instructing the employees to work only by directing. Every section's efforts in an organization can be easily connected and included along with the other departments through proper direction. Number 3. Directing injects motivation. Directing adds motivation to the staffs for achieving all the goals effectively. A manager utilizes the motivation factor effectively in order to enhance and accelerate the employees' performance in the organization. Number 4. Directing provides stability. Stability of an organization primarily depends on the directing skill of a manager. The manager can achieve this effectively by using 4 essentials of direction: cautiously blending influential leadership skills, able communication, a firm command, and also a well-organized motivation structure. Number 5. Directing helps in efficient utilization of resources. Directing helps in defining the roles and the responsibilities of all the employees towards their own work. It helps in utilization of resources in an effective manner as it will avoid or check duplication of and efforts, wastage, overlapping of assignments, and so on. Number 6. Directing enables to coping with changes. It is normal for individuals to resist any new variation that are brought in an organization. However, in order to dominate in the market, it is important to be able to adapt oneself to the ever-changing environment. This will help in planned growth of the organization. The function of direction is necessary for meeting the new challenges in a fast-changing environment, both internally and externally. Now, the process of directing. Directing involves set of processes used to get managers and subordinates of an organization to work together to fulfill the interests of the organization. From top manager to supervisor, all performs the function of directing, and it takes place accordingly wherever superior-subordinate relation exists. Directing is a continuous process initiated at the top level and flows to the bottom through organizational hierarchy. It involves a number of processes and activities. Ricky W. Griffin and David Van Fleet et al. focus on 5 key processes of directing or leading. They are: number 1, understanding basic individual and interpersonal processes; number 2, motivating employees; number 3, leadership; number 4, communication; and number 5, managing work groups and teams. Number 1, understanding basic individual and interpersonal processes. An organization involves a number of interpersonal relationships between a manager and his employees or subordinates, among the staffs, between an employee and organization. The basic relationship between an individual and organization is defined by a psychological contract. A psychological contract is the expectation of an individual or employee about what he or she will contribute to the organization, like effort, skill, ability, loyalty, etc., and what the organization will provide to them in return, like pay, job security, benefits, status, etc. One key aspect of managing psychological contracts is enhancing the person's job fit. Person's job fit is the extent to which the contributions made by the individual match the inducements offered by the organization. A precise level of person's job fit is seldom achieved because of a number of differences or mismatch prevailing between individual and organization. The differences may be due to individual attributes, attitudes, perceptions, etc., which results in a number of organizational problems like stress, conflict, absenteeism, stereotyping, etc. A manager has to take account all these issues pertaining to interpersonal relationship. A manager can help out in managing stress, reducing conflict through collaboration and cooperation. He has to maintain a balancing act between individual and organization and among the individuals. Number 2, motivating employees. Motivation is the process of imbibing the individual or employee with the zeal to work, cooperate, and coordinate for the accomplishment of common objectives. It is the function of a manager to motivate the employees working under him to carry out the duty assigned to them effectively and efficiently. Individual performance is generally determined by 3 things. 1. Motivation, the desire to do the job. Number 2. Ability, the capability to do the job. And number 3. The work environment, the resources needed to do the job. If an employee or individual is deficient in ability, the manager can go for providing training or replacing the worker. If there is a resource problem, the manager can correct it. But if motivation is the problem, the task for the manager is more challenging. Individual behavior is a complex phenomenon and the manager may be hard-pressed to figure out the precise nature of the problem and how to tackle it. Thus, motivation is important because of its significance as a determinant of performance and because of its impalpable character. Motivation can come in different forms like equity in workplace, goal setting, high involvement management, rewards, base pay, benefits, holidays, pay increases, incentives, bonuses, promotions, status symbols, praise, recognition, work assignments, and so on. Number 3. Leadership. Leadership is a process directed at shaping and guiding the behavior of others. It is the process by which a manager guides and influences the work of others in choosing, performing the assignment, and attaining the specified goals. There is a popular saying, quote, "People can be managers but not leaders, leaders but not managers, or both," unquote. The most valuable individuals are those who combine the two qualities, but they are scarce. Leadership depends on the use of one of the 5 types of power. Number 1, legitimate, power granted through the organizational hierarchy. Number 2, reward, power to give or withhold rewards. Number 3, coercive, the power to force compliance by means of psychological, emotional, or physical threat. Number 4, expert, derived from informations and expertise. And number 5, referent, based on identification, imitation, loyalty, or charisma. Leaders may use each of these forms to influence people under him to pursue certain goals. Leadership traits are those characteristics of leaders that set them apart from followers. Number 4, communication. Communication is one of the major ingredients of a manager's job. It is the process of transmitting ideas to others for the purpose of achieving desired results. A manager needs to tell his subordinates what they need to do, how to do it, and when to do it. He has to create an environment where the subordinates are able to understand what he is trying to convey to them. In other words, he has to create an understanding in the minds of subordinates of the activities to be done. This is done by the process of communication. Communication is not only about transmission of information. It is more than that. It is about the accuracy of the information received and understanding of ideas, information, and the instruction. Technically speaking, the communication process involves translating an idea into a message, encoding the message, sending the message through a channel, receiving the message, decoding the message, and retranslating it into an idea. The communication process can also be influenced by a number of important behavioral processes. Most notable are attitudes and perception. Managing communication involves understanding the numerous barriers to communication and knowing how to overcome them. Number 5, managing work groups and teams. As mentioned earlier, organizations are by their very nature highly interpersonal. In most of the organizations, works are accomplished by people working together, increasingly in the context of groups. A group is an entity where 2 or more people interact regularly to accomplish a common goal. People have a tendency to join a group because of interpersonal attraction, group activities, group goals, and instrumental benefits. A group normally goes through a 4-stage developmental process. Number 1, forming. It is the first stage where members get acquainted and test their interpersonal behaviors. Number 2, storming. The stage where members develop group structure and patterns of interaction. Number 3, norming. The stage where members share acceptance of roles and a sense of unity. And number 4, performing. The last stage where members enact roles and the direct effort towards goal attainment and performance. Managing groups is not an easy task for manager. Problems of role conflict, role ambiguity, lack of cohesiveness are encountered. Several guidelines exist and are available to the manager that can facilitate the management of functional groups, task force and committees, work teams, quality circles, and group decision making. These are the important processes and activities involved in directing or leading function of management. Now, the concluding part. Directing is an important and critical function of management. Directing links the various functions of management, which is planning, organizing, and controlling. It is the process where a manager's skill, personality, and character experience the acid test of management. Directing involves the basic fundamental of management, managing human relationship. Keeping in view the involvement of complex human activities in directing or leading function, some people consider it to be both the most important and the most challenging of all managerial activities. That's all for today. Thank you all.